So I'm here with the boys from Sonder, Sammy and Jai. I'm just going to be running through a couple of questions on running barbershops. These guys have highly successful barbershops in the North Shore of Sydney. So I want to see what these boys have to say, for any advice, any tips and tricks.
Sure.
So first one, straight off the bat, what unexpected challenges did you guys face when opening your first barbershop, and how did you overcome them?
It's a good question. Obviously, the financial pressure when we first initially started, we didn't have much money. So we were scrimping and scraping to get things done. And we had to cut some things out that we weren't actually able to put in the shop, like our air conditioning unit, which was quite quite an important part of our shop, which we didn't have for about 6 to 8 months. Then I guess just the transition from being in a successful barbershop and then going alone and really like getting hit with reality that not every single person is going to come with you, and then sitting in the barbershop on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and being dead. That was a confronting thing. I think definitely taught us a lot.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a wake up call for us when we realized that, like, when you're working for someone else and you don't have that responsibility of getting people into the door, you realize how relaxed you can actually be because you're not thinking about these things. But when you're put in the environment when it's actually all dependent on you, you then got to realize, well, I got to sit around. I can't be reacting. I got to go out there and I got to make it happen. And I think for us, that was a big thing. Is like, no one is going to do it for you, and don't expect things to fall in your lap. You have to just make it happen. And you're not going to have the answers straight away. But as long as you are wanting the best for your business and you're thinking about it, then you're on the right path. And you just got
also transitioning from the mindset of being a barber to actually running a business with all the other things that entail running a business, and just not just doing a good skin fade isn't necessarily mean that you're going to have a queue out the door. So you've got to take on the other responsibilities of running a business, like going to find clients and learning about your financials and so on and so forth. That was a big learning curve for us, like, because we were so used to just having a queue of people straight out the door.
Yeah, mad. So this is a question more for you guys. Like, so I'm in a partnership, obviously, with my wife, and we do it together. We're married, so we have that like connection already. But in terms of you guys, you're both two young lads. What made you just kind of decide to maybe not go out on your own individually to do it, and B, like, how's it been?
It's a great question.
As a partnership, like,
it's a great question, Danny, because I think a lot of people look at us and even another one of our partners and say, well, why didn't they just do it by themselves? And the real reality of it is like, if Sam and I were from the same area and we both had the same clientele, we were both the same age. So if I went out by myself and Sam went out by himself, we wouldn't be where we are today, because we would have been at each other's throats for the last 5 years. I'm trying to either undercut his prices, or he's undercutting my prices, or he's doing this. I'm talking shit about him. He's talking shit about me. Instead of that, we combined our efforts, combined our customer base, used those combined resources to invest and put staff on, and then grow the business, rather than focusing on what's Sam doing, what's Jai doing. So that was a massive thing for us. And like, even just, everyone has dark days. Having someone to lean on allows you to be able to get pulled up out of the mud on the days that you're not doing so well, and vice versa, which ultimately just leads you to success.
I think it also comes down to like the people you are as well, because everyone can jump into a partnership, but partnerships aren't always the answer for everyone. I think for us, it made a lot of sense because we had a friendship before Cutting Hill. We've known each other for quite some time, and we both knew the people we were, and we both knew the work ethic we had. Whether we had the answers or not in business was irrelevant, because we knew that we were both willing to work as hard as the other person to make it happen. And we still have that exact same mindset. Like, we're still like, Jai is a completely different person to me. And the reason why I also knew we would work together is because he provides something so different. I don't like his perspective on a lot of things, the things that I'm not even thinking about. So then he can say something and I can go, holy shit, I did not even think about that. But it's just brought something to my brain. And then you go together, and like him as well. He's got someone who can talk to and bounce ideas off, and we can have that. We can use each other.
Yeah.
to then be able to come up with a decision and back ourselves.
I would totally agree with that. Like even in myself, like working with Laura, like she's got such a strength and positive, great attributes that overcome my negative ones, and my strengths help pick up where maybe she's lacking a little bit. For ourselves, we've recently brought in Jake Patan. So Jake Patan's come in with us for education.
Nice.
And even having that now as a trio, we're seeing like the things, his strengths are like amazing, and like his weaknesses are our strengths. So like we can see the strength in partnerships as well. Not for everyone, but when done correctly, can achieve amazing
I
things.
think you got to also put your ego aside at some point and know that like you don't know everything and you don't have it, and like and being able to and for one, it is okay, but then being able to admit it and then being able to work with someone who you can figure it out, that can take you so much further, because instead of you thinking you know the right thing where it's only setting you back, you've put all that BS aside and just gone, okay, how do I figure it out?
Love it, man. Love it. Ego is the biggest killer
I agree.
in people, man. Okay, next one. Now, how many locations do you guys have?
We currently have 4 locations.
I love that. Currently have 4 locations. Okay, so let me ask you this: how do you choose a location how do you choose a location? What are you looking for in a location?
It's a good question, because for us, we originally came from shopping centers. So like before we opened our business, and for us that model didn't make sense because of the expenses that came into it. So like when it came to being inside the shopping center, sure, you're going to get an abundance of foot traffic, but like at the end of the day, where our previous business only had a 20 square meter shop, and it was the rent was ridiculous. So for us, we needed to find high exposure. That was the main thing. We when we first went into the suburb of Dewars, the suburb we grew up in, where we positioned ourselves was somewhere where people could not miss us, right? So they could not miss us in the sense where we had thousands of people coming past every day, but then we're also surrounded by good businesses. And at the same time, we had to make sure that the location we were going into made sense with how much we could afford and our financial model. That was a big one.
And also,
Make it important.
Also, people being able to park is a big thing for us. Like people being able to park, because I know if I was a customer, I go to the business once, can't find a park, all right, whatever, got a good haircut, go to there twice, and then I'm late to the appointment, and then I might get my appointment cancelled, but it wasn't my fault because I don't have a bloody park. It's only going to happen so many times. So you need to be able to park, you need to be able to get there. So we always position ourselves outside major transport hubs. And we also always choose suburbs that are the hub of the surrounding area. We're never in a area that's like, how do I say, like, it's always a densely populated suburb, but people will travel to that suburb to get goods and services.
For sure.
I think one thing that I've just thought of when you were talking then about the whole shopping centre thing, because that's one thing that we've been offered many times to go into the shopping centres. The rent is massive. So just kind of thinking then when you said that, the money that you'd be saving on rent, you could halve that and spend it on marketing to get people to your location. And then the other thing was parking. We've been offered Terrigal many times as well. Lovely spot. Like I've got it's
that's the first thing that comes to my head of this.
It's like such a nice kind of location. However, I can't get past the rent is ridiculous. It's cheaper in Sydney, and the parking is like I've never seen anything as bad. Also, so when you're running appointments, it would be a nightmare.
With shopping centres as well, you don't have complete control over what goes on inside your shop, because first of all, you're going to have to redo your shop every 5 years at your own expense, and the centres also have to approve all designs, so it can be a headache. You don't have full control, which we want full design control.
100%. Okay, how do you guys feel is the best way to build a strong brand with a loyal client base?
This comes, I think, to start off, it comes with the community you're trying to build, and it's got to come more than just inside of the salon. So I think what we really focus on is when we go into a brand new area, we make sure the community knows who we are, and we go in, we speak to business owners, we speak to other businesses, we partner up with them, we create value for people and wanting them to come inside of our salon. And like it's not always about like just take. You got to be willing to give as well.
Yeah.
And I think if you can create somewhere where people can come in, but then you can also not only give them a great service and all the rest of that stuff, but also make them feel a part of something. And that's something we wanted to really focus on, and making sure that people, when they come in, they feel like they're a part of this brand and this barbershop. It's not transactional in the sense where you're just coming in and getting a haircut and that's it. And I think this is where a lot of businesses go wrong, especially barbers, that they just focus so much of the churn rate, where it's more about how you're making someone feel, and also the relationships being built inside the salon.
Love that, man. Love it.
Also delivering consistency across all your staff members, no matter who they sit with. That's like,
And that's a hard one, right?
And that's why training's so important, which I know you guys are like all over.
yeah, training, more so systems, because it's like everyone's going to cut hair differently. It's not, you're never going to get the same haircut, even if you have two top barbers. Sam cuts hair completely different to how I cut hair, but how I make the customer feel and the service that we provide is very, very similar. And whether the person's been cutting hair for 3 months inside Sonder or 3 years, they're going to get a good service, and they're going to feel that it's a consistent with the brand.
Love it, man. Love it. Definitely on that community side of things, what you put out, you get back. So like when you're looking after the people that you serve, they're going to look after you.
100%.
So what is the best way? This is probably $1 million question right now. What is the best way to recruit and retain skilled barbers?
Build a strong brand.
Yeah.
Build a strong brand.
Build a strong brand, and think about employment from the employee's perspective. And if the only thing that you give them is monetary value, they will continually choose the higher paycheck. You can't compare, you have to make it so they're not comparing apples and apples. They have to compare apples and watermelons, because it's not only that they get paid, it's that they get training, that they're part of the community, that they're leveling up on a personal level, that they have mentors, X, Y, Z. It keeps going. You get opportunities to educate, whatever it is, but being able to provide more than monetary value keeps your staff longer.
I 100%, like you just nailed it. I think, how are you fulfilling your team members? And I think if you can answer that question, and if your answer is by paying them each week, then you're going down the wrong path. So if you can answer that question,
You can always earn more in a studio.
Yeah.
Like you can always, there's always going to be that, but how far is that going to go? And the thing is it's short term versus long term. They've got to be able to see the value long term by staying with you, by sacrificing the short term. And if you're not giving them a vision for long term, they're going to leave.
Constantly look to create paths for your team members and genuinely want the best for them and want them to grow. And I guarantee you, your business will be heading in the right direction.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Like you guys are all over it. Last one. What is one piece of advice you would give to someone who's thinking about opening their own barbershop?
Do it.
I would say honestly, just start. You're not going to have the answer. I think the way I look at a lot of things in my life, you can't look back and you can't have regret of not wanting to do something. I feel like if you don't do it, you're going to look back and regret it. And if you are going to do it and go give 100% effort, because the worst case scenario is you're going to be back in the exact same position you are anyway. And who knows what can happen? Who knows what the possibilities can happen? We don't have all the answers straight away. We still don't, and we're still showing up every day.
Learning,
So I would say look around at your options as well, and make sure that opening the business is the best option for you at that current time, and you're not doing it purely off ego of just saying you want to have your name above the door, because sometimes it's not actually your best option. If you zoom out, it might be in the very, very short term, but when you zoom out 5-10 years, because you got to stop thinking in such micro levels of time. You've got to look at it over a long period of time. How sustainable is it going to be? Is the facilities better at somewhere? And is it better to partner up with someone? Or is it better to have a studio, or is it better to open your own shop? Just make sure that you're making the decision based on a long period of time, not just a short period of time.
Yeah. And I think asking yourself why you want to start a business as well. And if the answer is to start a business so then you can take a step back, do not open a business.
There's no steps back.
Do not step.
All right.
Work more now than ever.
Yeah. No, and that's people need to understand that themselves. Boys, love it. I knew this one would be amazing for great advice. Guys, the Sonder lads, look them up on Instagram. These guys are leading, in my opinion, right now, the Australian barber scene. So, boys, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for
Always a
having me.
pleasure, my bro.
Appreciate you, bro.
Always a pleasure to see you, man.
Legend, man.
Appreciate it.